Hello and welcome back to this latest edition of Bears Talk presented by J. Brown Realtors. On this Thursday, February 1st, we start off as always with the head men's basketball coach in Everick, Sullivan. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Last time that we chatted, two very close games, a home victory against Tusculum and a tough road defeat yesterday against Wingate. What can you evaluate off these two performances since the last time we talked?
Life is tough on the road. It is hard in college basketball to win on the road. But, you know, if you look at the positives, we are playing a lot better. We've tweaked some things and kind of adjusted some schemes, and I think it fits our personnel a lot better. So we're doing things and moving in the right direction. We just got to expedite it. And we got to finish. But we needed the home win against Tusculum, and we had a win in our grasp last night, and we just allowed it to get away. You know, we got to be better. We got to watch the film and try to learn from it.
We look back at the Tusculum game on Saturday. We've talked about a few times that the guard play is really the key for this team as well. You get a good guard rotation, this team finds success.
Yeah.
Nas Tyson had 15 points. Tay Smith, game leader, with 20 points for your team. How did this pair click so well against the Pioneers?
Yeah, you know, we've talked about shot selection, our decision making. You know, they're probably a little bit more natural-born scorers than they are playmakers and guys are, you know, are making the right decisions. But we need them to do that for this team. And you know, they got to learn how to play together, and it has to be a balance. And you know, to be honest, some of the stuff that worked in the Tusculum game didn't work in the Wingate game. And you know, we got to get better, and they have to be better. But when they are on the same page and they are in sync, and our chemistry is there. In terms of our shot selection and our decision making, they're a really good duo, but it has to be a little bit more consistent for my liking.
You mentioned a game that just slipped right out of your grasp against that Wingate Bulldogs side yesterday. That's one of the top teams in the South Atlantic Conference, though, a 10-2 record in their league play. What can you take from this rivalry game, though? Because you played a really good 40 minutes on the road in one of the toughest venues in the SAC.
Yeah, that's what we can do when we come to play. You know, and as we started the season or got into the season, that's without 2 point guards that we don't have, and as we say, 2 forwards that we don't have that we could have used in both of those areas. So we go into the season without those guys, and we've had to make some adjustments. But when we're locked in and we're focused and we're doing all the little things, paying attention to the details, we can play really good basketball. And it's the LR style of basketball, which is unselfish, passing to the open man, and defensively, you know, just making them take tough shots and rebounding basketball. We won on the boards. We won the rebounding battle, lost the free throw battle. That's not typical for us. They got to the line a lot more, but we went. You know, we picked our scoring drought. We were leading the game until the last 6 minutes of the game, and we go on a scoring drought where we probably don't score but three to 5 points in that last 6 minute span or so, and they hit everything and they got to the free throw line. So there's lessons in it in every loss, but that's something we got to clean up. We got to clean that up fast.
You mentioned the free throw discrepancy between the two programs. It was 32-16. They were in the bonus with 14 minutes left of that second half, double bonus with 7.5 minutes left. What's the message to the team today and throughout the rest of this week in practice to say, hey, that's not our style of basketball. Yeah. How do we make sure that we control that free throw battle?
If there's, you know, I watched the film, and if there's areas where I think we just we made some poor decisions, reaching or fouling, I will address that. But I think for the most part, like, our guys were in pretty good decision. There's some bang calls and calls that could have went both ways, and that's what you want. You just want some consistency. You want, you know, if they're going to, and you got to give Wingate a lot of credit. They put their head down and just drove it. But that doesn't mean you get a call. It don't mean you got to call fouls, because we did the exact same thing, and a lot of times you didn't get that call. So it is, you know, it's how basketball is played. Is on the road. You know, that those calls tend to go your way when you're on the road. You have to adjust, but that's typically not who we are. We're one of the best teams in the nation in terms of not fouling and putting people on the free throw line. So we have to make adjustments, and we can't, you know, you can't compound those mistakes by making live ball turnovers or taking poor shots or not being able to execute when the time is needed.
I want to take this time to show a light on the young players of this team. Sam Martin yesterday led the team with 7 rebounds, but also gained some big experience as the season goes on. Has been Gabe Serta and Connor Tilley, and you've mentioned how this team has battled through some injuries, but the young guys have stepped up. What have you been pleased with them in their first year here at
Yeah,
LR?
they've been great. They've been a great addition. Their energy, their competitiveness, they're willing to learn and continue to grow. That's what you want. Very coachable young guys who play hard, play with a chip on their shoulder. Sam, Connor Tilley, Gabe Serta. Those are all guys that are freshmen per se, right out of high school. And Gabe's playing more and more. We're going to need him. He's going to play a vital role down the stretch in February. Sam has held his own. I think as the league goes, it kind of starts to wear on you. And it's not like high school. It's college basketball. It's physical. It's demanding. And, we're trying to figure out how he can generate some more points for us because we need an interior presence. But defensively, he's done a tremendous job of rebounding the ball, blocking shots, and being a force in the inside. So we're very pleased with their production.
Well, after yesterday's game against Wingate, you guys are done with your midweek road trips. You got 4 Wednesday games here at home. And, looking at the schedule, that can be somewhat inviting, knowing that you have more home games on the schedule as well. How great of a feeling is it to just say, hey, we got 6 of our last 8 here at home. We have our remaining trips on the weekend, but on school days, we won't have to worry about hitting the bus, hitting the road. We can just play here in front of our fans.
When you got a new group, 11 new guys, and you're trying to figure it out, and you're still trying to figure out how to win. I know I have guys that we can go through struggles and face adversity with. They haven't splintered. They're here and they're going to stay together. Now is getting them to understand how to win. And trying to figure out how to win on the road is sometimes a little bit more difficult than trying to figure out how to win at home. When you can get momentum, you can grasp it, you can go on runs. You got the crowd behind you. You're sleeping in your bed. You're in a comfortable environment. We can get a shoot around, the day of the game. All those things are very important in terms of your preparation. And there's a confidence. It's unwavering. It's kind of inside of you. It's around you. It's an aura. You're in your house per se. And anytime you're in your house, you're a lot more comfortable. So we're looking forward to this stretch where we get a chance to play our games at home. But we gotta get it done. You got to come ready to play every single night. There's going to be more expected of you and more asked of you. And you got to have guys that step up to the challenge.
And as of today, you guys sit just outside the top 8 of the South Atlantic Conference, but those next 2 home games are teams within a game of you in the standings, Limestone and Anderson. And what are you looking forward to these next 2 matchups, both here at home, to really build on in that confidence and move forward through the last month of the season?
Yeah, everybody's smashed up in the middle. It's just everybody's fighting and clawing. We win 1 game or 2 games, and then you jump all the way up to 5th place, a game out of 4th. That's what you highlight. You can only worry about the game in front of you. That's the first and probably the most important thing. You don't want to start looking too far ahead. But we are able to play some really good teams who are playing well, who've probably facing some of the same things we play, taking some tough losses and trying to figure out how to rebound and respond. So the message is, let's do what we do. I'm not asking anybody to be great. Let's just be consistent. Let's do your job at a high level, come out with a positive mindset, and continue to play together and play unselfishly.
The Bears look to get revenge over Limestone on Saturday, February 3rd, right here at Shuford Arena at 4 p.m. tip-off. You can tune in on the Bears Sports Network or WHKY, or come out. It's a full day of LR athletics. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today on Bears Talk.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Bears Talk, presented by J. Brown Realtor. We are on now to our next guest, the head women's basketball coach and Grahm Smith here on the show. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here today. When you look across the South Atlantic Conference, there really are no easy days, and your team had 2 tough battles this past week. What's your evaluation standpoint after both of these very difficult battles that your team assessed?
Yeah, you said it best. In the South Atlantic Conference, there's no easy game. Game in and game out, no matter who you're playing, whether it's one of the top teams in the conference or one of the teams at the bottom half of the standings, you got to show up and play. And if you don't show up and play, then anything can happen. And so we've learned that lesson, obviously a time or two, and we know what we got to do. We got to show up every single night and play our best basketball on both ends of the ball, offensively and defensively, and then stay locked in. Not that our ladies aren't doing that, but I think kind of where we are in the standings right now, and we've got a target on our back, and that's been that way the entire year. And so we've got to continue to show up and be ready to go from the tip and play that way consistently and sustain throughout a full 40 minutes.
Going game by game, we'll start with Tusculum. It was the reserve playmakers that made the difference in that game. Andrea Torres and Jada Glass, those two had some big contributions off the bench. What did those two really give a spark to your team against a Pioneer side that has struggled this season but put up a really good fight against yours?
Yeah, I think the story with Tusculum, they're better than their record shows. They play a lot of players. They're very deep. They're athletic and they play hard. And they definitely showed up on Saturday and came ready to play. Not that we didn't come up ready to play, but they came in and they fought hard. For us, I think we've had balance and depth the entire year. That's one thing I love about our roster is the amount of talent that we have all the way through. And so we can rely on players off the bench to show up game in and game out and give us that boost when we need it. I think for Andrea specifically, she always puts the work in. She put the work in from day one. And so as a coach, I have a lot of confidence in her that when her name does get called, that she's capable of going off on any given night. So she definitely stepped up. Obviously, going 6 for 11 from the three-point line was huge, and we needed all 20 of those points. And then Jada Glass, same thing. She's an experienced player. She's mature. Obviously hasn't been in the rotation as much the last several games, but once again, she stayed the course. She stayed bought in. She's put the work in. Hasn't complained about a lack of minutes or not playing a whole lot, but continue to show up day in, day out. And we have confidence in her as a staff. Her teammates have confidence and trust in her. And for both Andrea and obviously Jada, when their name was called, they showed up and they delivered.
It was a tough result yesterday against Wingate. The comeback bid just came up a little bit short against the Bulldogs, but we talked about those last week with the slow starts to the third quarter. So maybe not coming out of the halftime as strong, but you guys had a really strong third quarter yesterday. What was the switch up in that mentality to come out so strong after the break?
Yeah, obviously, Wingate's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
We haven't won there since 2016, and so tough place to go in and play. And, the last 2 years specifically, we've really had a tough time there. So going into this one, we went in confident. We knew it was going to be a tough game, but we felt confident in our abilities to go in there and compete and potentially get a win. I think we just had a slow start. Not that I don't think it was anything that they did necessarily. They spotted a zone. We were prepared for a zone. We didn't know they were going to play as much as they did. But it kind of slowed us down. I think we were settling a little too much for the three-point shot, especially in the first half. We were 1 for 12. When we were attacking the basket and getting downhill, getting the ball inside, when things were happening. But they slowed us down in the first half offensively. And so, second half, I told the ladies at halftime, listen, just stay confident, continue to play the game, continue to attack, stop settling for threes. If you get a great look from a driving kick, feel free to knock it down. And then we also switched up defensively. We put a little bit more pressure on them. Instead of playing our typical zone, we went to a man-to-man, and it worked out well for us. I think it threw them off a little bit, caught them off guard, and I think it engaged us a little more with our intensity and effort defensively, and it worked out well. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. We couldn't buy a bucket in that second half as far as from the three-point line, which is crazy because you look at Saturday's game, we were shot 39% from the three-point line. And then yesterday, we go 1 for 20 and shoot 5%. So that was tough, but they're all good looks. Going back and watching on film, there wasn't maybe 1 or 2 shots that maybe weren't the best, but other than that, they were great looks, and you got to have confidence and trust and belief in your players to take those shots, and eventually they'll knock them down. But if you would have told me, looking at the stat sheet at the end of the game, that we were going to only have 10 turnovers, force them into 18, and we were going to shoot the ball 19 more times than them, I don't think we would have lost the game. So it was unfortunate.
Yeah, expanding on that point with the three-point shooting, it just seems to be going up and down lately because the last 2 road games, you guys have shot 1 for 28 from deep, but you go back to that game against Saturday against Tusculum and knocking down those shots from afar. So what is it going to take for this team to really find that confidence on the road, but also that consistency as well that can be a make or break come tournament time?
Yeah, I think just staying locked in. We put the work in every single day. That's one thing I love about this team is they are resilient. When their back's against the wall, they always find a way to respond and bounce back. We shoot threes every single day after practice. Our ladies make 50 made threes at the end of every practice, and so they're putting the work in. And so as a coach and as a staff, we get to just continue to trust in them and instill confidence in them that if you get a clean look and have confidence in yourself, take the shot and you're gonna knock it down. And so it's not always going to be our night. You're not going to always, hit from deep, and it's not always going to go in the hole. But I think if we continue to put the work in, have that, positivity and belief in each other, and just stay optimistic that things will go our way.
You mentioned earlier on that you have a big target on your back, one of the top teams in the South Atlantic Conference, and As you go into this final month of the regular season, you guys sit at top of the league as well. You have some big battles coming up as well. But after what we've seen over these last few days, what's the message to your team saying, hey, there's no easy days from here on out through the rest of the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, just stay the course, right?
Yeah.
Just focus on, once again, I've said this before and I'll say it again, focus one day at a time, right? One practice at a time, one game at a time, and worry about things that you can control. And that's your effort, how hard you play, trusting in your teammates and having confidence in yourself, and just approaching it one game at a time. If you look too far ahead, you're going to lose track and you're going to lose focus of where you're at. And so we're trying to just stay locked in and stay engaged on the next task at hand. And that's looking at Limestone coming in on Saturday. But we control our own fate right now. We've got a tough stretch, obviously. Limestone's not going to be an easy game for us. Then we got Anderson. We've got Carson Newman again on the road. We've got Catawba coming into our place. And so some tough games on the schedule still, obviously finishing up at home with Wingate. But our ladies, once again, they've proven all year they're going to be resilient. They're going to bounce back and have the right approach come Saturday.
I asked this to Coach Sullivan, and it's even more of a point for you as well. You guys have been traveling midweek road games for it feels like the longest time.
Yeah.
The last home midweek game you had was November 21st, 2 days before Thanksgiving, believe it or not. How much of a relief is it going from here on out that on midweek games, on Wednesdays, school days for the student athletes as well, that they don't have to worry about getting on the bus, traveling to an opposing venue, and they can play pretty much the majority of their games here at home for now?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to someone about this earlier. Traveling is tough just in
Yeah.
general. Any sport, whether it's football, soccer, lacrosse, basketball, when you're on the road, especially midweek, it puts you out of rhythm, right?
Mhm.
It's not a regular class schedule. You're leaving a little bit early. You got to shoot around early, and so it's just a different mentality. I think we've done a really good job on the road, but midweek games are tough, and so for us, being able to finally take a deep breath and get back home on a midweek game, that's going to be huge for us as far as just kind of our regular routine, and be able to just kind of stay locked in and once again, not get thrown off as far as what we do on a daily basis.
And you mentioned earlier about the two games you have coming up at home, Limestone and Anderson. These are two programs that have had some success in recent years as well. What's the focus going into it now as you guys try to bounce back from yesterday's loss?
Yeah, I think once again, just staying confident in ourselves,
Mhm.
continuing to trust in the process. What we do works. When we continue to stay bought in, it shows that we can have success playing the way that we've been playing. And so I think for as a staff, continuing to tell our ladies, just stay locked in. Don't focus on the past. You can't change it. We lost, unfortunately, on Wednesday. It's behind us. We're going to learn from it. We're going to move on from it. We're going to bounce back. We're going to stay resilient and push forward and to focus on getting a win on Saturday, obviously, and then, of course, on Wednesday as well. I know we haven't beaten Limestone at home in quite some time, and so last year they got us here. That was the one blemish on our record at home last year, and so I know our ladies will be locked in, ready to get some payback for that. And then, of course, next Wednesday, Anderson coming here. We owe them one as well, and we know what we got to do to finish where we want to finish.
Lenoir-Rhyne women's basketball returned home to Shuford Arena, 2 p.m. tip-off on Saturday, February 3rd, when they take on Limestone. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hello and welcome back to Bears Talk, presented by J. Brown Realtor. We are now joined alongside by our next guest on the show. It's the assistant softball coach and Emily Kenley. Emily, thank you so much for joining us here today on the show. So first of all, season starting on Saturday at home against Lander. What are some areas we should be excited about with this group?
We have a lot of returners, but we also have a lot of freshmen and sophomores that we're expecting to step up in some big ways. So we're excited to get the season rolling with them.
Absolutely mentioned some key returners on this team, but there are two big losses due to graduation that this team suffered. The sack pitcher of the year in Morgan Beeler and the third baseman Talon LeClaire. But you mentioned that this team has some fresh new faces on the squad as well. How are you looking to fill these roles of these legends here at Lenoir-Rhyne?
Yeah, Morgan, big loss. She had a phenomenal senior year, and obviously Talon, she's had an excellent career here in all her years. So we have deepened the pitching staff a lot. We have 6 pitchers, and we have Lauren Rakes back, which is big time. But I'm excited on the pitching standpoint, definitely. But third base is a big role to take over, and I think the girls have worked hard in practice. So I'm excited to see who will fill those shoes from Talon. Yeah.
It's a year of celebration for this program as well. Sheena Holler coaching her 25th year here at Lenoir-Rhyne. What impact has she had here in Hickory for you and for this program?
Gosh, I don't even think we have long enough to talk about that, but she's just an amazing influence. She works hard, she cares, loves the girls like her own, and treats me like her own too. So just an amazing woman to learn from, and I just couldn't be more honored to work for her. So I'm excited for this 25th season with her.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
coach, and you guys had success last season as well.
Yeah.
Just coming up one win short of that super regional round out in Wingate. But you mentioned the returners again, keying on that point. What is it about this group that knows, hey, we can get back to that stage of this tournament and advance on to that super regional round and maybe even further?
Right. So with the upperclassmen, great experience for them, right? So they're taking the underclassmen definitely under their wing. Expectations are high, and they have made them very, very aware of that. So we're hungry. We want to be there. We want to be on that stage. We want to feel that pressure and do big things with it. So we're excited, and expectations, like I said, are really, really high. So, yeah.
It's great to think that spring sports season's already here, but a good news about your schedule is you started home with 2 doubleheaders. How great is it to have those 2 non-conference teams show up at your place? They can start this year here at home at Bears Field.
Right. Well, 25th season's already big, but getting to have our 2 first games at home, that's even bigger. Just the support from the community and having the love and on the field at home and getting to open up with just start a great season at home. We're excited. So.
February is such a marathon stretch for this
Yeah.
team. Did the count, you have 20 games in a 25-day span. That's a lot of games to play
Yeah.
to get the season underway. As a coach to your players, what do you emphasize to make sure that they're well conditioned and ready to go, knowing it's a big month, but also could be longer times as well?
Right. We are really pushing on taking care of yourself. So whether that's mentally, physically, staying on top of academics, we're really big on those things to help us push through, especially this long first stretch. But just mentally preparing them, really letting them know what they're to expect. You know, we play double headers. It's 14 innings, and it's going to be a long season. But as long as you one game at a time, take care of yourself, and we should be good to go. Yeah.
Some big returners for this team,
Yeah.
but also some fresh new faces here as well. And is there a preview of an X factor, new face on campus that we should be looking out for this year to know that they're going to step up and they're going to play a big way immediately?
Yeah, we have 2 really good freshman pitchers this year, Madison Wilson and Alyssa Russ. Looking forward to them doing some big things. And we have 11 sophomores and 8 freshmen, and they're a really talented group. So anybody can step up at any time. So we're really excited to see the depth for the team in any position. So we should be strong and definitely deep in the lineup. So it should be a good year.
We're looking forward to getting the season underway. It begins this
Yeah.
Saturday, February 3rd at Bears Field. Lenoir-Rhyne softball team will begin with the doubleheader here at home against the Lander Bearcats. Coach Kenley, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.